She was 7 years old, she had a pink backpack, she loved strawberry ice cream, and one night, she simply disappeared. No sound, no struggle, no goodbye, just silence. And that silence has lasted for years. This is not a story with a clean ending. This is not a case that was solved over a weekend. This is the kind of case that keeps investigators awake at night. The kind of case that makes parents hold their children a little tighter before bed. The kind of case where every answer leads to 3 more questions. This is the story of a little girl named Lily, and nobody knows where she is. Lily was a normal 7-year-old living in a quiet neighborhood in rural Ohio. The kind of place where neighbors wave at each other from their driveways. The kind of place where kids ride bikes until the streetlights come on. The kind of place where nobody locks their doors because nothing bad ever happens here. That was what everyone believed. Until the night of September 14th, Lily lived with her mother's boyfriend, and her older brother who was 9 years old. The house was a light blue single-story home on Maplewood Drive. 3 bedrooms, a small backyard with a tire swing, a neighborhood so quiet you could hear crickets from inside the house. That evening, Lily had dinner with her family. Her mother made macaroni and cheese, which was Lily's favorite. She ate the whole bowl. She watched cartoons for about 45 minutes. She laughed. She was happy. Her mother tucked her in at 8:30 in the evening and kissed her on the forehead. She said goodnight. Lily said goodnight back, and that was the last time anyone saw her. When Lily's mother went to wake her up the next morning at 7:15, the bed was empty. The sheets were pulled back neatly. The pillow was undisturbed. The window next to her bed was open exactly 6 inches. The screen had been removed from the outside and was leaning against the exterior wall of the house. There were no signs of a struggle, no broken furniture, no blood, no torn clothing left behind. Just an empty bed and an open window. Lily's mother stood in that doorway for what she later described as the longest 10 seconds of her life. She kept thinking Lily had gotten up early and was in the kitchen, or maybe in the bathroom, or maybe hiding under her brother's bed as a prank, because Lily loved to play pranks. She checked the kitchen. Empty. She checked the bathroom. Empty. She checked her son's room. Her son was still asleep. No Lily. She checked the backyard. She checked the front porch. She checked under every bed, inside every closet behind the couch. No Lily. She called Lily's name 17 times. Her neighbors 2 houses down later said they heard the screaming. She called 911 at 7:22 in the morning. The operator who took the call said it was one of the most distressing calls she had ever received. Lily's mother could barely form complete sentences. She kept repeating the same words over and over again. She's gone. She's just gone. She was right here. She was right here last night. She's gone. Law enforcement arrived within 8 minutes. 2 patrol officers first, then a sergeant, then within the hour, the property was surrounded by multiple units. The Ohio State Highway Patrol was notified. The FBI field office in Columbus was contacted before noon, because something about this case from the very beginning felt wrong. Deeply, disturbingly wrong. The first thing investigators noticed was the window screen. It had been removed cleanly. No scratches on the frame, no fingerprints on the screen itself. Whoever removed it knew what they were doing, or had done it before. The second thing they noticed was the ground beneath the window. The soil outside was soft from recent rain 2 days before. There should have been footprints, and there were. But here is where things get strange. There were footprints leading away from the window, but there were no footprints leading toward it. As if whatever came through that window had arrived from somewhere else entirely. As if it had appeared from thin air. Investigators measured those footprints. They were adult-sized, approximately a size 10 shoe. The tread suggested a common work boot, the kind you can buy at any hardware store in America, but only leading away, never arriving. That detail alone haunted the lead detective, a 17-year veteran named Marcus Webb. In a later interview, Webb described standing over those footprints in the early morning light and feeling something he had not felt in years on the job. He said he felt afraid. A full search of the surrounding area began immediately. Volunteers arrived within hours. By the afternoon of the first day, over 200 people were combing through the woods behind the neighborhood, the creek that ran along the east side of Maplewood Drive, the abandoned lot 3 streets over that local kids called the dirt field. They found nothing. Search dogs were brought in. The dogs picked up Lily's scent near the window, followed it across the backyard, through a gap in the fence, into the alley behind the house, and then stopped cold at the edge of the alley where it met the main road. The scent just ended, like she had been picked up off the ground and carried away through the air. Meanwhile, investigators were inside the house, piecing together the hours before Lily disappeared. They interviewed her mother extensively. They interviewed her mother's boyfriend, a man named Daniel Pryor, who said he had been asleep since 10:30 the night before and heard nothing unusual. They interviewed the older brother, who was 9 years old, and could not understand why everyone kept asking him questions about his sister. Daniel Pryor immediately became a person of interest, not because of any direct evidence, but because he was there, because he was the last adult in the house besides the mother, because in cases involving missing children, the people closest to the child are always examined first. Pryor consented to a full interview and passed a polygraph examination. His alibi, while limited to being asleep at home, could not be broken. His phone showed no unusual calls or messages. His car had not moved from the driveway according to a neighbor's security camera that faced the street. But investigators were not satisfied, because something about the timeline bothered them. Lily's mother said she checked on Lily at 11:15 at night because she heard a sound, a small sound, like a door closing softly. She looked in on Lily, and Lily appeared to be asleep. She did not turn on the light. She did not walk into the room. She looked from the doorway in the dark and saw what she believed was her daughter under the covers. What if it was not Lily? What if Lily was already gone by 11:15? That question changed everything about the investigation, because if Lily had been taken between 8:30 and 11:15, that was a window of almost 3 hours. 3 hours in the dark with no witnesses. And in those 3 hours, whoever took Lily could have been anywhere. The community response was immediate and overwhelming. By the second day, Lily's face was on every local news channel in Ohio. By the third day, she had gone national. Cable news picked up the story. The image that circulated everywhere was Lily's school photo from the previous spring. She was wearing a yellow dress. She had 2 missing front teeth. She was smiling the way only 7-year-olds smile, like the whole world is a safe place, and nothing bad can ever happen. That photo broke people. Strangers were crying in grocery stores. Candlelight vigils were held in 3 different cities. A Facebook group dedicated to finding Lily gained 40,000 members in 48 hours. Tips flooded the tip line. Hundreds of them, then thousands. Investigators worked around the clock sorting through them, following up on the ones that seemed credible, chasing down leads that always seemed to evaporate before they could become real. One tip stood out. A woman named Patricia, who lived 4 blocks from the Maplewood house, called the tip line on day 3. She said that on the evening before Lily disappeared, she was walking her dog around 9 in the evening, and she noticed a dark-colored van parked on the street 2 blocks from Lily's house. She noticed it because it had no license plate on the front, which she thought was unusual. She did not think much of it at the time. She walked past it. She came home. She went to bed. She did not see the driver. Investigators took this tip extremely seriously. They canvassed the area. They pulled footage from every security camera on that street and the surrounding blocks. 3 cameras captured what appeared to be a dark-colored van. The footage was grainy and shot at night. The van appeared to be a Dodge or Ford model, probably late 90s or early 2000s. The plates were not visible in any of the footage. The van was never identified. The driver was never found. Then came the detail that no investigator involved in this case has ever been able to fully explain. Inside Lily's bedroom, on the floor next to her bed, investigators found a small object that did not belong to her. It was a button, a single brown button, the kind used on men's overcoats or heavy winter jackets. It had 3 holes instead of the standard 4. Lily's mother had never seen that button before. Her brother had never seen it. Daniel Pryor said it was not from anything he owned. No one in the house could account for it. Where did it come from? Had it been there for days and no one noticed? Or had it been left that night? The button was sent to the state crime lab. It was examined for DNA, fingerprints, and trace materials. The results came back inconclusive. No DNA profile could be extracted. No prints. The button itself was identified as a type commonly used in men's clothing manufactured between 1985 and 2005. Millions of coats. Millions of buttons exactly like it. It told investigators almost nothing, and yet it haunted them. 6 weeks into the investigation, a new development surfaced that sent the case in a completely different direction. A convicted sex offender named Raymond Coles, who had been released from prison 14 months before Lily's disappearance, was found to have been living 11 miles from the Maplewood neighborhood. His address had not been properly updated in the state registry, which was a violation of his parole conditions. Investigators descended on Coles immediately. His home was searched. His vehicle was searched. He was interviewed for 9 hours over 2 days. Investigators found disturbing materials in his home, materials that resulted in additional charges being filed against him, but nothing in his home or his vehicle connected him to Lily. No DNA, no physical evidence, no witness placing him near the neighborhood. Coles denied any involvement in Lily's disappearance. He has maintained that denial ever since. He was reincarcerated for the parole violations, but the question of whether he had anything to do with Lily was never conclusively answered, not officially, and the lead detective, Marcus Webb, has never publicly stated whether Coles remains a suspect. That silence is its own kind of answer, or maybe it is not. 18 months after Lily vanished, a hiker in a wooded area approximately 30 miles from the Maplewood neighborhood found a child's shoe, pink, size 1, a Velcro sneaker with a small daisy design on the side. Lily's mother, when shown a photograph of the shoe, broke down completely. She said it looked exactly like a pair Lily owned. The shoe was sent for forensic analysis. The results were never fully disclosed to the public. In a brief press statement, investigators said only that the shoe was, quote, relevant to the ongoing investigation and that their work continued. Relevant to the ongoing investigation? What does that mean? Does it mean they found DNA on the shoe? Does it mean they matched it to Lily through some other means? Does it mean the location of where it was found gave them a new lead? Nobody said. The investigation did not produce any arrests. The case did not move forward in any visible way after that press statement, and the families and volunteers and the 40,000 people in that Facebook group were left with nothing but a photograph of a pink shoe in the woods. 3 years passed. Then 5. Lily's mother gave one interview on the 5th anniversary of her daughter's disappearance. She sat in the same living room where Lily had watched cartoons the night she vanished. She spoke quietly. She did not cry during the interview, though she looked like someone who had cried so many times there was nothing left. She said she still set a place at the dinner table for Lily on her birthday. She said she still bought strawberry ice cream even though no one in the house ate it anymore. She said she still slept with Lily's stuffed elephant next to her bed. She said she believed Lily was still alive somewhere. She said she had to believe that. She said if she stopped believing that, she did not know what would happen to her. That interview was watched over 4 million times. Marcus Webb retired from law enforcement 2 years after Lily's disappearance. In his retirement, he gave a single interview to a true crime podcast. He spoke carefully. He said he could not discuss specific evidence, but when the host asked him whether the case was truly cold or whether investigators still had active leads, Webb paused for a very long time before answering. He said, "There are things in this case that I think about every single day. I do not think we have the full picture. I do not think we ever got the full picture, and that is something I will carry with me for the rest of my life." He did not say anything more specific than that. What things? What picture? What does a 17-year veteran homicide detective mean when he says he does not think they ever got the full picture of a missing child case? Nobody knows, because Marcus Webb has not spoken publicly about the case since that interview. Today, Lily would be 14 years old. She would be in middle school. Maybe she would love music or soccer or drawing. Maybe she would be thinking about high school. Maybe she would still love strawberry ice cream. The case remains officially open. It is classified as an active missing persons investigation. Her file sits in a cabinet somewhere in an Ohio law enforcement office. A photograph of a smiling 7-year-old in a yellow dress with 2 missing front teeth. The window screen still exists as evidence. The button still exists as evidence. The pink shoe still exists as evidence. The footprints that led away and never arrived still exist in photographs, studied and restudied by investigators who cannot explain them. The dark van with no front license plate was never found. The driver was never identified. Raymond Coles sits in prison and says nothing about Lily. Daniel Pryor moved out of state 2 years after the disappearance and has not spoken publicly about the case since. Lily's mother still lives in Ohio. She has never moved from the house on Maplewood Drive. When asked why, she said she did not want Lily to come home and find her gone. Think about that for a moment. A mother who has not moved from the home where her daughter vanished because she is waiting, still waiting, after all these years, because the alternative, the possibility that there is no coming home, is something she refuses to accept. There are thousands of cases like this in the United States. Children who vanish without explanation, children whose cases generate headlines for a week and then fade from public memory, while their families keep living inside the nightmare that never ends. Children whose names are in databases and on websites and in filing cabinets, while the world moves on. But for the people who love them, time does not move on. Time stops on the night of the disappearance and stays there, frozen, the empty bed, the open window, the name being called 17 times in an empty house. We do not know what happened to Lily. We do not know where she is. We do not know who took her, or why, or where they went. We know a pink shoe was found in the woods 30 miles away. We know a button with 3 holes was found on her bedroom floor. We know footprints led away from her window and never arrived. We know a dark van was seen nearby and never traced. We know a retired detective thinks about this case every single day and believes the full picture was never found. And we know a mother who still sets a place at the table on her daughter's birthday. If you have any information about this case, contact the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THELOST. Lily's case remains open. Her family is still waiting, and somewhere out there, someone knows something. Someone always knows something. The question is whether they will ever choose to speak.